Hello again, it's Noob, and this is another review of something I found on AliExpress. I bought it with my own money. I might pronounce this wrong, but this is the Haoshi tool manufacturer lock disassembly / pinning mat. Now, why did I choose this one? You get this in black or blue. I quite like the black with the white with the red. I just thought it looked quite nice. And when I got it, I was pleasantly surprised by sort of how thick the material of this was, and also its size. It's something like, and it might be a bit off, 45 centimeters by 27.5 centimeters. So it's reasonably big. You can see my hands on there for a bit of scale. The other thing which sort of drew my attention to this was there was lots of little bits and pieces around here, so you can see that there are up to 12 sort of pin placements there, which is quite nice. So you can see that as 2 sets of 6-pin locks maybe, or if you had a dimple lock which you needed to repin or start to pin up as part of a master suite, then you have up to 12 pin slots. There are lots of locks out there with multiple pins. Here is a key of one which clearly has about 10 different pins, so you can imagine having all of these spaces for the key pins and the driver pins for a lock like that would be very useful indeed. So how do you use a mat like this? Well, however you want, really. If you were going to disassemble a lock, and I've just got a generic Euro cylinder here, I'm just going to try and pop that circlip off the back. I have a circlip, I can put that wherever I want. I'm just going to choose up here. I've got the my disassembly tool, I can just throw that down. There are some little areas down here, but they're a bit small, so I might just put that back in my case, but I can throw it up here out of the way. Then I can use a follower, maybe some shims, and again, I've got a whole load of shims. They can just go down here. And just for the sake of having them, I'm going to use a shim just to pop in the top of the keyway to make sure that the gutting goes as smoothly as I can. Pop that through, and then I've got plenty of places to stick things. If I want followers to put those down, I can put some extra followers in here. I don't really know what these slots are for. They're a bit deep for some pins, but you could put some pins in there, I guess, if you wanted to maybe just throw a batch of pins that you've been working on. I've got some different coloured ones here for just demonstration. I mean, that's a possibility, but you can really put your tools on there, anything you want. Again, there isn't really a space for tweezers, but up here seems to be a good enough place. And then, yeah, you can just gut your lock. So I'm just going to use the center because it's mid-camera, and just put the key pins down here. And that's only a 5-pinner. The plug, again, you can just put to one side. I think that these are designed for the plugs. The key doesn't really have a space, but that space looks like it could be for a key, but I don't know what I would use all of this for. Maybe springs, I'm not sure. Like I said, it's sort of a mat which doesn't tell you how to use it. You can use it as you wish. And in terms of gutting this, then I would use these longer sections for the springs. So I have the key pins, so I can put the driver pins. I'm going to tip the springs out, then the springs will go here, for example. And these are very, very deep grooves. You can see how, once those pins are in there, you're not going to get these out in a hurry. They are going to stay very much in position, and I'm going to just dump all the springs out. Here we go. Right. And then again, you've got this prop body, you can throw that down, and everything sort of has a nice little neat place. I mean, overall, in terms of the aesthetics of this, I quite like it. The material feels quite solid. It's got a nice big bit of space. Whether this has enough sections for you or not depends on your use case. If you're a locksmith working on small sets of keyed-alike or master cylinders, then this might suit you. If you were going to be doing many sets of mastered locks, then This might not suit you, I don't know. But overall, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, you can throw in, you know, if you want to swap out some pins, you can then put all the new security pins or whatever in their place. So let's get all different colours in there. There we go. And then when you put it back together, then you can, you know, choose to put new pins in, I guess. So yeah, I mean, overall, it's pretty good. I think I bought this for about £11, which is, I think, very reasonable for a pinning mat. But there are, well, I was going to say there are a couple of issues. Really, there aren't a couple of issues. There's just one big issue. Let me just clear this up for a second, and then I'll show you what the issue with it is, or at least with this particular one. So there you go, cleaned everything off this. Now, bear in mind, this is only about £11, somewhere around what, that 12 to 14 US dollars mark, depending on the exchange rate. And for that, you get something which is actually pretty well made in general. It's nice and thick. The detail is all very nice. There's nothing sort of wrong with it as far as I can tell. It seems to be made quite well. The materials are well. All the writing lettering is all raised and stands out. In many ways, this is very, very good. And of course, it's nice and large. But it is let down by one thing. If you look at the overall thickness of this material, you'll see that you've got probably up to about 5mm of this silicone rubber material on the top. And this shiny layer is maybe even less than 1mm thick. Now, on some of these parts where that bottom layer is clearly being used as a as the base of the cutouts, it actually looks quite good. But when you look at these bottom two pieces, especially if you turn it around, you'll see that for whatever reason, maybe it's just this one, hard to tell, but that thinness has meant that you get warping on the base, and there's nothing that I can do to reduce that. I can't sort of shrink it back. Either the bottom layer hasn't been applied as well on this particular one, or it's just an artifact of having such a thin, you can see my sort of finger poking through such a thin layer that it's just prone to sort of stretching and warping. So my conclusion is that there's a lot to like about this, but whether you think this is worth just over a tenner is really down to how much something like this largely cosmetic bobbling or raising of the bottom layer affects you. I think it would probably annoy me, but if I was just going to be, you know, rolling it up and throwing it in a van and using it sort of as a pinning mat on the go, maybe it wouldn't bother me that much for the price point. So yeah, it's almost great, but it's let itself down on just one aspect. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think to this pinning mat? Would this sort of thing bother you for the price point? Or would you just opt for something a little bit more expensive where you knew the quality was going to be a bit more consistent? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, please go and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. And of course, I'll see you all next time.